Hi everybody, my name is Gudrun from GE Designs and welcome to Tipsy Tuesday. A little mic action, actually my fault, my mic wasn't on. So welcome everybody to our live chat. Tonight we are going to continue our journey through matchmaking, matching what kind of fabrics we put together with what kind of patterns. And so tonight is going to be our second category. We're going to dive deeper into which is scrappy with focus. So, of course, I am here to answer all your questions live as well, so make sure you post them in the comments. If you're new here, make sure to check in, write your name and where you're tuning in from in the comments, and say hi to everybody from all over. It was great to see folks checking in from all over. Remember, throughout the show, if you like what you're seeing, use those thumbs up and hearts. I believe we have thumbs up now on YouTube and Facebook. And so that really helps us spread the word. And if you like what you're seeing, if you like our videos, the best thing you can do for us is share the video. So just hit that share button. And now we have a live giveaway every show. Of course, subscribe. Yes. Sorry, Mr. Honey Producer. Forgot to mention that. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube, or make sure you like our page on Facebook as well and sign up for notifications, then you will never miss a show. We're here every week, twice. All right, so we have a giveaway every show, like I said, a live winner, and then also a question at the end, a giveaway question. So even if you're not catching us live, you still get an opportunity to win. We give away 2 $25 gift cards every single show, every Tipsy Tuesday. So that is something to look forward to. And so I'm seeing some people checking in. There's smoke in Oregon. I can imagine. I've been in constant contact with my son in Portland, and they have been indoors for the past week or so, dying to get outside, but it's just really bad. But hoping that they will get some relief, some rain, and let's all say a little prayer for everybody out on the West Coast in the fires. And also in the Gulf, I hear there is a hurricane sitting there just waiting to pummel y'all. So hopefully everybody stays safe. All right, so from the last show, we have a winner from the last show. I asked you, what is your perfect ideal outdoor temperature? And we had a little bit of a differing opinion, still kind of on the same page, because we like it warm. I like it a little warmer than he does. But our winner from last week was Judith Valentino, and her ideal temperature is 72 degrees. And for those of you that don't know what Fahrenheit means, that is 22 degrees Celsius. Now, that is a very, very comfortable temperature. I agree. I wouldn't want it any cooler than that. So let's check in with all of you. How many are signed up to kick off Fast and Furious Club? It's coming up this Sunday. So Fast and Furious Club kicks off with the first project, which is the Off Kilter Runner. I have three of them hanging behind me. And so people are getting excited. If you haven't heard anything about it or don't know what I'm talking about, our Fast and Furious Club is our monthly project club. Quilt as you go. So all small projects. Every month you get a pattern and a video class that I will take you through all the steps of making the project. So the first 3 projects have been revealed for the months of September, October, and November. And the projects go live on the 20th of each month. So we're starting with the Off Kilter Runner because our year has been kind of off kilter, hasn't it? So we are going to start with that one. It is one of those that you're going to keep making over and over again. And I've got some new kits to show you that we have in the store for making this runner if you still are looking for fabric. Now, you can sign up for the whole year. If you're still thinking about that and haven't done it yet, you want to not wait too long, because that offer ends on Saturday, the day before we kick off the first project. So right now it's available the whole year for $84.95, and that goes up to $99, I believe, on Saturday night. So don't wait too long. Of course, if you don't want to commit to all 9 months, you can do 3 months at a time, so trimester, or just buy them individually. So right now you can purchase the first month, even though the project is not there. There's still videos to be watched. And of course, you get the supply list for the project. So don't wait. Don't wait. Don't miss out on it. It's going to be so much fun. Any questions on Fast and Furious Club before we dive into our main topic? It's been really fun to go through these past few episodes and seeing your feedback on the matchmaking parts. I see lots of people have already signed up. First season was awesome. Time for season 2. I like it. All right, signed up for the whole year. That's great. That's awesome. So thank you, everybody. We really appreciate it and are going to keep bringing you more stuff and more things to do since we are not really leaving our house much this year. So it's all good. We are happily in our sewing rooms. I love it. Well, if we don't have any more questions on Fast and Furious Club, we might talk about it later as I show you some of the kits that we have added. But I think it's time to dive into our matchmaking. Right? Woo woo! Matchmaking made easy. Yes. So tonight, this is our third installment. The first one was the introduction of all the 4 categories there. I have kind of divided my patterns, my scrappy patterns into. And then last show, we dove into the first category, which was, what was it? Are you going to put it up on the screen? Scrappy goodness. Scrappy goodness. Yes. Was that the sound effect? We have live sound effects, everybody. Live sound effects. So this was what we talked about last show, and of course you can always go back and watch it. And so this one is just, all the patterns are just scrappy, beautiful, and the beauty from the pattern comes with having balance in the colors and the shapes and the fabrics and the different prints. So then tonight we are going to dive deeper into this next category, which is scrappy with focus. So same rules apply to all the other fabrics, and then there is one accent fabric or an accent color that really pulls the eye in and makes that pattern really shine. So we're going to check into that, and then next week we will do scrappy with contrast, and then the following we will do scrappy with background. So as we move into scrappy with focus, so the beauty, again, a lot of the stuff that I talked about last show applies to this grouping because the scrappy part of the quilt has all the same rules as we do when we're just doing scrappy, which means we need to think about balance of color, we need to think about balance of value, and all of that. So once you have that figured out, what kind of fabrics you're going to put in, and before you choose your accent or your focus fabric, so then you want to have all of those scrappy fabrics laid out. So the success in these types of patterns is, of course, the balance of the scrappiness and all of that I talked about. And then that focus fabrics needs to really stand out. So our key word tonight is contrast. So we want that focus fabric to contrast with all of the other colors, all of the other fabrics, so that it really stands out. Because if we lose it, we kind of lose the design of the quilt. Now, there are ways to have a really high contrast or just a subtle contrast. So that will give your quilt different looks, and we're going to talk about that. So again, when going scrappy, more is better. So the more variety you have, the easier it is to mix, and the balance will be better. So it always applies. I think anything with fabric, more is better. More fabric, better, right? Whether it's in your stash or just in a quilt. So in these cases, we're talking about scrappy quilts. So then, again, the contrast comes from the focus fabric. So now all the quilts I showed you in the first episode of this matchmaking on August 25th, all of these quilts that I showed you in this category could all be used with all colors of the rainbow, as the scrappy fabrics, but they could also be very toned down. So maybe all kind of a low volume. They could all be from just monochromatic from one color family, or they could be all neutrals, just grays, blacks, whatever. So that could all apply to all of these quilts. But what really changes things is that focus fabric. So we're going to talk about that. Now, all the patterns that I'm going to talk about and show you have either one focus print, which is one fabric, or it could be a color. So you could use multiple different fabrics, but they're all kind of going to read the same. So the key, again, is contrast. So you can create that contrast a couple of ways. So when choosing your focus color, you can start by laying out all your scrappy fabrics, which is what I'm going to do. And so I'm going to start with this example. So I have my orchard bundle right here. So I want to just show you all of those fabrics, and it's a really lots of prints. So there's multicolored prints and all of these things in this bundle. So I'm just going to flip this over so we can look at it. So we have all these hues of, we have oranges, we have browns, we have some greens, pop this over to the browns, and some lights. And there's one purple that has a lot of green in it as well. I'll pop that in here. So this would be, if I was going to be making a quilt and using this, what would I pull out? So what would I use as my focus? What would stand out from all of this? Now, there have been times if I'm using a pre-cut or I have chosen my fabrics, and of course I am never set on it. So once I choose my focus, sometimes some of these come out and don't actually become a part of the quilt. But first one, most of the times when I'm choosing my focus fabric, I want to choose a tone on tone, something that does not have a large print or multicolor print, especially when you're using these kind of highly colored prints, because you want that really to stand out. So I have kind of pulled these 5 fabrics. Now, one key thing, if you want things to really mix together, so if you're working from mostly one fabric line, you might want to go and find a basic or something that works well with, like from the same manufacturer as the fabric line or same designer. So sometimes they always work within the same hues of fabric, but not necessarily. So this is just kind of if you want to kind of make it easier. So I have found these bumbleberries because this is a line by Louis and Irene, and their bumbleberries are their basic. So I found a few that all would work great with these. Now, first off, what I'm going to see right away that isn't going to work. So this orange, I really love it, but it's really close to these guys. And so when it's really close to these guys, I know I'm probably going to have to leave them out. And I don't like it leaving them out because I love them. So I probably will not choose this one because there's too much orange. And it's great to have orange in there, but it's really not going to stand out from these 3. Does that make sense? So we eliminate this one. So now we have these 4. Now the green is kind of the same way. I love these olive greens in here. And this one is really not going to stand out from these greens, although it will work really well over here. So unless you want to skip the greens, I'm going to say this one is out as well. So now we're down to 3. So now this one is a light brown. Now it could mix pretty well. It's lighter than this one's, so it would pretty much stand out with all of these, and it would stand out with all of these. So that's a possibility. This one as well. There's not a whole lot of purple, but there's bits of purple everywhere. So there's little bits of it, hints of it. So it would blend really well. So this will be another option. And same thing with a gold. So there's not a gold fabric. So this one would stand out from everywhere, but there's little gold pieces everywhere to kind of make it work well. So I would narrow it down to these 3. Now, which one of these would you pick? Do you want to know which one I would probably go with if I was making this quilt? Since we talked about balance last episode, there's only one fabric here that is purple. Even though it has a lot of green, that purple is going to read through. So what I would probably do is remove that one and use my purple. Because look how rich that would look together. But of course, if you want something more subtle, then you can go this way. So it would be between these 2 for me, depending on what kind of look you want. So that kind of explains a little bit about when you have multicolored fabrics. And I wanted to show you just examples. So first I want to show you some Clarissa quilts. So this is one of my patterns that is typical. So there's an example of using, these are just all black and white and grays. This is Sue from Sue, one of my testers. She tested the Clarissa pattern. And you can see that she just chose, it's a white with a print, so it reads kind of gray. It mixes in with some of them, but it still stands out. It still stands out from all of them. So this is kind of a subtle contrast. So let's check out another one. This one is Maria's from Sweden, and she chose that red to pull out all the red in the prints. And again, this contrast is way more subtle than many others. So a great example if you don't want the focus to be too harsh, and it could blend nicely. And we will check out the third. Now here's another sharper contrast. So this one is, you can see all these fun prints. There's a lot of black specks in all the prints, but really none of the prints are black. But so that black really is the sharp contrast. So that's a sharp focus right there. And if you see my quilt that I chose for the cover, so this one, it was a lot of florals. And so I chose a dark navy for my accent because I felt like black would have been too harsh. That navy had hints of it throughout the other prints. So it kind of blended in, but still stood out from all of them. And then it kind of married them all together by finding a color that necessarily is not in all of the prints, but it kind of ties them all together. So does that make sense a little bit? I hope you like that example. I'm going to do another example, and it's kind of fun to just take our bundles and kind of study them. So I'm going to study this one. This is one of our newer bundles. So this is our On the Farm bundle. So if you wanted to make a quilt using this, we have a good balance of the colors. So we have reds and greens and kind of a charcoaly brown, and then these taupe prints. And then we have one print that kind of has all the colors in it. So this one, and this is sometimes a good trick. If you're trying to find a contrast color or a focus color, you can sometimes use the selvage on some of the prints. So check out the selvage. And the selvage will have color, either circles, or this one has barns. How cute is that? So these are all the colors that are in this print. And so if it's all from the same fabric line, this is a kind of a fun little cheater. So for this, to find a contrast with all of this, there are some options. Now, first thing I noticed right away is there's a lot of white in all of the prints, including this one. And then the prints, or like the reds, the greens, they're kind of all on the same level. So they're all kind of in the same value with each other. So there's not much of a variation. So you kind of want to go probably a high contrast, which means something totally different from what you have here. So one option, if you wanted to include this one in here as well, which is totally cool. So that option, I would probably pick up this pink. And I found this little fun country confetti polka dot. It's a little pin dot with grays, taupes, white, and red specks. And so this one would blend very nicely. It could stand out from all of the colors, and this would make a really nice, softer kind of an accent. If you wanted to a little bit sharper, you could do a little more peachy color, kind of go with the other color of the pigs. But I think this one was kind of the perfect shade for that. Now, here's another idea. You could totally do another thing. So you could go neutral. You could go either white or black. Now, a white would work really well here because there's so much white in all of these. It would stand out everywhere. However, I would probably remove this one then, because that white is not going to create a huge contrast in this one. It's okay, but I'd probably go this way. This would make a really cute quilt. And then if you wanted to really include this one, you'll see that there's black all over here. There's black in all the sheep. So a black contrast would give you a really sharp contrast and still work very well within that. Does that make sense? All right. So don't be afraid to think out of the box. And you would think that maybe a pink print with all of these colors would be, what? That's so out of the blue. But it really makes sense if you just study the fabrics and try it. So sometimes trying things is the best idea. So let me show you some quilts. that kind of have this similar thing going on. So we'll start with my Hope quilt. So the Hope quilt, we'll put up the first one, and this one was, I don't have it here who made this one, but I love this one. So this one is kind of done monochromatic, so all these kind of blues with a little hints of green, and she just chose a darkest value of that color family to use as the focus, and that works really, really well. You see, it doesn't have to be a totally different color. It can totally just work this way. Miss Diane. Okay, Diane. Great version. So here's another one. And this one is by Ellery. Yeah. Okay, so this one, I love this choice because the fabrics that she was using are very colorful, darks, lights, different values. So she kind of went in between with her focus fabric. So a medium versus not the darkest one. And so it kind of becomes a little subtle and not stands out so harshly, and sometimes that's the look you're going for. And then we have my version, the offset version of Hope, if you want a really high contrast. So this was, the fabrics were all kind of high print, and so I chose just 2 colors for the prints and with a little bit of pink mixed in, and so I tried different colors, and I ended up just wanting to use a really sharp contrast just to show that option, because I made a few Hope quilts, and so one of them is actually hanging right behind me. If you want to check that one out, we'll talk about that one later. But I'm going to look at another quilt here, another pattern called Valerie. Similar thing. So you have your scrappy goodness, and then those on point squares create need to be the focus. So in this case, I had lights and darks, and so I chose kind of a medium gray that would still stand out from everybody, but not override it with being too harsh. And I have another version that I showed you a couple of shows ago. And this one, I used all kind of blacks, grays, and taupes for the scrappiness. And so the light fabric is the focus. So you find a lot of lights within the prints of the other fabrics. So it still blends, but not too much so that it still stands out. Here's another Valerie. This one is made by Allison. I love this one. She took a class from me. So again, the prints have quite a bit of dark in them, some of them, and so she had to go a step darker. So she went black while the other ones are kind of charcoal, and that is just enough. It's not super harsh because she has a lot of darks in there, but I just love the mosaic feel of that version of this quilt. And here's a more subtle approach. So Denise pulled out the turquoise from the fabric. So a lot of the fabrics have turquoise in them, but not too harshly, so that she just chose just a shade darker turquoise to stand out. Perfect. Really subtle. And here's another softer one. So a lot of prints in these kind of lavender, purple, light blue, grays, but all of the flowers are kind of that tone of rose, or I don't know what color to call it. I was kind of like a dark rose color. And so that was just a perfect color to use for the accent, because it's not too harsh for those subtle types of fabrics. All right, so those are all Valerie quilts. And I want to show you one more example of actual fabric. So if you wanted to do something that's more monochromatic, as we've seen a few of these quilts, and so I have one bundle here that we've gotten a lot of questions on what to do with. So this is our Buttermilk, not Buttermilk biscuits, but Buttermilk Farmstead bundle. So it's all just monochromatic, blacks, grays, and a little bit of white. Not too much, but all prints. So what to do with something like this? Well, of course, this for me would be a perfect opportunity to make a monochromatic quilt and then really pop it with some color. So, and then that is just up to you. How harsh, what is your favorite color? So we could go yellow with this fun little pin dot with a confetti. This is the waffle cone color. So that would make it really soft, black and white and yellow. And this, by the way, is a really great way if you need to make something and you want to make something scrappy, but you want it to match somebody's decor. This is a great way to do it. Here's another one. Throw some chartreuse in there. Look at that. That'd be so cool. Turquoise, always great. And then, of course, black, white, and red. How great would that be? Look at that. A super harsh accent. Now, what if you just want more subtle, more monochromatic? Well, you can still do a white with all of these, because this one will still work because it's a little bit grayer. So you want to choose a white that's whiter than everything else. Or if you want to go black, you got to find a color that's blacker than all the other patterns. And if this one concerns you, look at this. You can just remove it and then it wouldn't be that much. But what do you think? Which color would be your favorite if you were pairing this up? I mean, you can make multiple different versions. And then, of course, there's always the option of choosing a few different focus fabrics, depending on the pattern. There is that option too. So let's look at some quilts that have kind of done this, a monochromatic look with a pop of color. So let's see this. This is the Amelie. This is the Amelie quilt I made. This was my second one. So I just went into my collection of 10-inch squares, pulled out all the grays and in-betweens, from light gray to almost charcoal, almost black, not quite black, and everything in between. And then, so this one came completely from my collection, and then I popped it with that turquoise accent. And so it's a really nice subtle feel. And then this one is just to see the original. So this was my original Amelie quilt, very colorful background or scrappy colors, and then just a white. So the secondary design is kind of subtle, but a totally different look. So here's some more Amelie's. This is Chris's, and she chose kind of a light blue, almost a turquoise, just like mine, but a little bit blacks and whites versus just grays. Really cool, and she did a great job of blending these blacks in and kind of spreading them out so that they are nicely balanced. And then here, look at this one, all orange fabrics. This is Susie's. Yeah, really cool. So you could choose any color, colorway. You could do blues and just pop it with an accent color, or this one, in this case, orange. And I love that. So our color bundles will be perfect if you wanted to achieve some kind of a look like that. And then here's another one, just neutrals with a pop of green. This is kind of more of an olive green. This is Pat. Yeah, Pat. Oh, Peg. Okay, sorry, Peg. This is Peg's quilt. I believe she took a class with me in New York, in the Buffalo area. We did this one. So that one was really, really successful. So, of course, if you wanted to have more of a scrappy element to your focus fabric, you could always do multiple different prints of the same color. So if you have chosen an accent color, instead of using just one fabric, you can use multiples. And I actually did that with my Hope quilt, my floral one. So let's check this one out. So my accent color was yellow because one of the colors in my bundle was yellow. And I felt like it wouldn't blend in just being so solo, but it was a perfect accent. So I pulled it out and then I added some other yellows, and you can see kind of on that quilt how some of them are a little bit darker, some of them are a little bit brighter, and it gives a little extra movement to the quilt. So it kind of blends a little more in other places, but yet you still see it very clearly away from all the other ones. And here's another one. This one was made by, it doesn't say. I believe this one is from Sweden, when I was teaching in Sweden. So, I think it was, I don't remember her name, but please say it if you recognize your quilt. But I love this. So her orange accent with all her grays is a few different fabrics. So just really gives that extra life. You see how that lighter color kind of pops all throughout and gives the quilt extra life this way. Now, of course, remember when I talked about in the beginning that when choosing your focus fabric, tone on tones or textures are always kind of the best choice if you want it to stand out. But of course, there's no rules, so you can always break them. I did say you can use mostly tone on tones, but sometimes it's really fun to break it up with maybe a stripe or even a polka dot. And I've seen many quilts done this way. I just happened up on this one. It's one of our Hope quilts from our Sew Along, and somebody did this with a really fun polka dot and actually a really cool layout of the quilt too. So this is the Hope done with that polka dot black and white. How cool is this? You can really, it doesn't stand out as a fully on white would do, but it makes it so funky and fun. So don't think there's rules. You can always break the rules. So if you want something different, something cool, you can throw a stripe in there, some kind of a texture that I had to mention, and it will really spice things up. Now, I do have a couple of patterns that have two focus fabrics. So in these cases, we'll start with Matrix. So Matrix is done, you're doing the same block, but you alternate the two different accent fabrics. So that will give you that alternating, really a lot of movement. So I use just a light gray and a dark gray for my accents on this quilt, which is all the scrappy ones are just all kinds of florals and prints. And so many different fun versions of coral. The other one is Marina. And Marina has two different blocks. So one has that white cross and then the other one has an X through it. So in this particular one, which is made by Monica did this one. And so she used greens and blues, and then so that navy is accent 1 and then that white is accent 2 or vice versa. And so what I love about this, doing two different focuses like that, this is Susie's, I believe. And so this one, in this case, it's also a white and a navy. But what I love about it, so when you're choosing your fabrics for the squares with the white, you can kind of do a different colorway for the A blocks and another colorway for the B blocks. So even though your accent is maybe repeated in some of the other blocks, it's still fine because it still shows that that contrast. And this one is by Trudy. I love this one because all of her prints are kind of lights and greens, and then she chose a yellow for accent 1 and then this brown for accent 2. So two totally different colors that are not in her fabrics. So that's a great idea too. You can do whatever you want, but this is an example of using pattern that uses two different focus fabrics. And then, last but not least, I want to talk about this. I have two quilts here that I want to show you that actually we talked about last week. So they are in the scrappy goodness category, but sometimes by playing with placement and playing with fabric, you can turn them into a pattern with focus. So for example, this Elvira quilt, all you have to do is that diagonal strip through, pop it with the same fabric. We saw a lot of this during the sew along. And so then you have a focus fabric. So just a great way, all these blues, and throw in some yellow to give it some extra pop. Love this version. And the other one is algorithm. You can totally do that with the algorithm quilt. So instead of cutting that strip that goes in the block from the same squares, you can just cut it from an accent fabric and throw it in there, and that will give your quilt a whole different movement, as you can see, by having one accent or one, turning it into a focus versus a mixture of scrappy goodness. So that is all of my talk for tonight for these scrappy, beautiful quilts with focus. So I am ready to take all your questions and we can talk about things. So throw them questions out there. I hope you've been kind of putting them out there before. I love the polka dot fabric. That's great. No rules. Fun to see unexpected accent colors. Yep, exactly. It's really fun to just try different things. Somebody said I struggle with black and white. I don't know what that was. really kind of pull towards. Do you have the Nova pattern in a one sheet printed pattern? Yeah, Nova, all of my patterns are available. Most of my patterns are available, both printed and as PDFs. All right, lime green, turquoise, chartreuse, red one when I told you to pick. It's all over the board. Red, green, chartreuse, turquoise. What is the name of the lime green fabric? Oh, this was a thatched chartreuse. Thatched chartreuse. So, and so all of the fabrics I showed you, those are parts of our 1 yards that we sell on the website. And if you don't know how we sell fabric, we don't cut to order. So they're all in 1 yards. And there's a special. So if you buy 5, you get a price drop. And if you buy 10, you get another price drop. So you can get them for $9 a yard, which is freaking awesome these days. So check it out. And you can mix and match. All right, purple or the deep cobalt blue. I like that. Royal blue, red, 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 red. Okay, great. Do we have any questions? Great tips. I like that. Judy says, I have a better understanding on how to choose fabric. What if you have some yardage of 3 or 4 fabrics that you want to make a quilt with? Which category would be best? So that one, if you have just 3 or 4 fabrics, if it's even yardage of the 3 or 4 and you don't really want to mix anything else with it, I would probably do something that involves blocks and background, or something you can switch the placement of these 3 fabrics and kind of, you know, bring in some air with a background. Sometimes to make a scrappy quilt, anything like that, 3 fabrics is just not enough. It really kind of is hard when you start putting the blocks together, and when you have the same fabrics touching, it just really alters kind of the design of the blocks. But you can still do it. You can still do it. But I would probably, I mean, something like Elvira might work, but if you throw some other stuff in there. If doing a different accent color in the algorithm pattern, what strip size would you cut? You could do any size. You can just follow the pattern, use the same strip size as the pattern. I've seen other people do a little bit skinnier strip. It's really whatever you want to do, because you end up squaring it up and cutting it up anyway. I could watch your videos for hours. So informative. That's awesome. So does value play a role in choosing the focus fabric? Yeah, so what was trying to explain, so it's all about contrast. You want it to stand out. But how much it stands out is based on your value. So if you choose a lighter one that blends kind of in more but still has a different color, it's going to have a more subtle effect versus like a black or something that's a totally different color. So that is really based on what feel you want your quilt to have. You know, that value plays in there. All right. What is the difference between scrappy with focus and scrappy with contrast? Well, we'll dive more into the scrappy with contrast. So scrappy with contrast is that you have to have contrast within the block for the pattern to come out. So the scrappy with focus is really just one color or one fabric that really pulls everything together. And that is not necessarily in scrappy with contrast, because you can have different colors and different blocks. They still within each other would have contrast. I know it might be confusing, but you will see once we talk about that category how they are different. Where's the Amelie pattern found? So the Amelie is a single pattern. It's on the website. It's spelled Amelie. And we'll have that colorful quilt with the white accent and the oar and the boat on the cover. Black and white goes with almost any color. Yeah, you're right. Sherry says, if you are adding a border to your quilt, do you piece them? The borders? Sometimes. Sometimes, you know, I'm not a huge fan of borders unless the quilt really needs it. Sometimes it just needs a frame. And I don't like adding borders, if you may have noticed in my patterns, just to add a border. I started off kind of leaving borders off of my strip quilts because then gives people more options of sizes, because sometimes we're just wanting to make a quilt a certain size, and you can always alter the sizes by adjusting your borders. But I kind of like the piecing part, and some designs become a little bit more modern if they go all the way to the edge of the quilt, and other ones that just need that frame. It just depends on the design. Really, it really does. So I can't say I always do this or always do that because it really varies. Do you have color and design background, or is it just experience? Just experience, just playing. Experience, I think it's cumulative over your lifetime. I have a lot of artists in my family that, a lot of painters. My grandfather was a painter, and aunts and uncles, great artists. So I think always been around color and in a different way. So I think it's maybe a part of you. It's, something I'm not afraid to explore with. And so, but of course I've made mistakes. I've tried to put something together that doesn't work, and then I learn from that, and I know at least that doesn't work. All right. Okay. My new addiction is white cheddar popcorn. Oh, I'm sorry. He is really making things bad habits for you guys. This is not good.
Sorry.
We need to start talking about some of your healthier things that you eat.
Like what?
Like what? Maybe grits. What is the quilt to your left? So the quilt behind me, to my left. This one is the, all of the runners are the Off Kilter Runner. That is the first project in the Fast and Furious Club, season 2. And the one behind me is Hope. And so this was an example, the Hope behind me, I wanted to hang it because it's an example where I chose accent color with all of the neutrals. So my accent color was that green, but I could not just do one green. It had to be all the different greens. So there are multiple different fabrics and multiple different values. So it kind of adds a little extra movement to it. Plus, it's all what I had. Somebody asked, do you eat vegetables? Yes, he does.
They're just boring.
What is the snack of the week? Kale? Yeah, he does like kale. Greens.
Kale chips are great.
Yeah, you like collard greens. Greens and cabbage. Broccoli is good.
Asparagus was good last.
Yeah, we had asparagus last night. Mushroom risotto and asparagus and spinach in this risotto. Yum. We get our greens all the time. Okay. Where do you get the chili pistachios? It's turning into a food promotion. Hi from Manitoba. You are a very good teacher. I understand so much better listening to you than I have with all the explanations in the past. Oh, that's great. That's great to hear. I really do appreciate that. So yes, I mean, it's sometimes I felt like these episodes needed to be both showing you actual fabrics and what I would choose, and then show you some quilts, because we can look at quilts all day long and see, oh, I like that, oh, I like that, but you maybe don't understand why you like that. So now you can kind of recognize, why do I like this one? Do I like it because the contrast is really harsh? Do I like it because it kind of is mellow? Do I like it because of the colors? Do I like it because of the prints of the fabric? Or is it really just the pattern of the quilt? What do you like about it? So it's fun to study it this way.
Popcorn is a vegetable. I agree with that.
Oh, popcorn is a vegetable. Yeah, probably. But not maybe when it's covered in cheddar powder. Okay.
Because we want to let them know that's what it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was showing everybody the Off Kilter Runner because they were asking about this. All right, are we ready to move on and show you some fabrics? We have some new things to show you. We don't have any more questions, do we? Oh, what was the pattern for the last quilt? That was, what was the last quilt I showed him? Oh, Algorithm. That is in my Stripology Squared book. So that was Algorithm. All right, so I have the 2 new kits. So we made one live today. So we got more of the Off Kilter Ghouls and Goodies, the Halloween one, which is hanging over here. So we have more of those kits in the store, and we put it up today. So if you signed up for notifications, you probably would have gotten that. And then we have our Orchard kits. They are available now. So here's Orchard. So it's for the Off Kilter Runner. So you can kind of imagine how they would look. Now the fabrics in the kits are all from Orchard except for maybe binding. And then the backings may be a little different in each kit, but they're all from that really fun fall lines. And so this is the Orchard kits. And then we have also Reef. How fun is this? If you want a fun, colorful one, the Reef. So this would be the binding. Or you can, the great thing is in the kits, you can mix them up because some of them are fat eighths, some of them are a full quarter. So you can kind of mix up the placement. And then this is your backing. So this is Reef. So these two kits are available now for the runner. I really, really want to make one of each. I told you, it's one of those runners that you just want to make one of each. It's just keep going. And then we have some new bundles. So first one I want to show you is this one. So this is a line from Andover. It's a basic line with some gold. It's called Rainbow Shimmer. And so we will be carrying some of these as our 1 yards, but I thought it would be a great stash builder because this can be mixed in with so many things. So it's a really small print and it's little stars, pluses, and hearts. So just a little shimmer if you want that little speckles. So then we have the black and the dark gray and then this navy, or it's called indigo, which I think is a really great color. And another blue. So I just kind of picked 12 different colors that I really liked and I thought would be great additions. And so all of these would be great accents. They can be put into with other stuff into a bundle. So we have the darkest magenta and then raspberry, or the other way around, I don't remember. And then we have the red. And then we have we have a gray, a light gray, and then this one is pearl, I believe. It's kind of an ivory, beige, and then the white. So this is our Rainbow Shimmer bundle. So fun, kind of a rainbow going on from dark to light. And like I said, a great kind of really a true stash builder just to add to your stash. Now we got only a little bit of it, but we are getting more. So even if we sell out of this bundle, we will have more. And then, of course, some of the more common ones I'm going to be adding as 1 yards as well. And then before I show you this other new bundle, I wanted to show you these. So these, we got our first shipment of our CAFE 2020 cool and warm bundles, and we are getting the rest of it. So if you had a pre-order on this, if you were one of the first ones to order, we've already shipped this to you. Now if you didn't get your shipment, it just meant that you probably ordered a little bit later than the first round. So the rest of this fabric will be coming in October. But you know what, you can't really look at a CAFE like this, so I felt like I needed to show you really how gorgeous these fabrics are. So what I did, I chose 12 out of the prints, my favorites, and I did a cool and a warm bundle. So this is all the blues, some purples, and greens. So what accent would you put with a CAFE? Now see, let's lay this out. This would be a really fun study because you can do so many things. And it doesn't have to be the obvious one. Look how gorgeous this is. And so there's a lot of that little hints of pink. So I think actually a fun pink would be great with this. Or some red, even some of those burgundy tones. Look how beautiful. These lilies. And I try to mix also some geometrics in there. So just to have a good variety. And then we have this one. Oh, it's just so beautiful. So this is the cool bundle. So let's play with this. I have some, don't have all the colors, but for example, check this out. Throw some pink in there. This is our spin dot. This would be good. I think even some like burgundy. This one is a little too orangey, but this could work too. This would work too. You can pull out some of the greens, some of the light greens. Look at this. This one will be great. There's so many ways you can go with this one. And of course, if you throw in some white, that would also work. White would also work and be a really great contrast everywhere. If you wanted a harsher contrast, you could do black as well. There's lots of black in it, so that would mix well. But, you know, it's cave, so you want it to be colorful. So I would just add another color. That be me. All right, so this is the cool. And like I said, we still have it up for pre-order. So if you wanted to secure a bundle, you can still pre-order it. And then as soon as we get the rest of it, that will go out. So the warm one is more of the pinks and reds and these beautiful, beautiful lilies. And a little bit tints of orange. And again, I tried to do some geometric, different shapes. We have the melons with just a little bit of purple in there, but it's kind of those warmer purples. Love this print. It's really fun. Some more pink. And a little bit of gray. And this is the lily with the turquoise in here. So in this one, you could totally pick a blue. You could do navy in here as an accent. You could do purple in here as an accent. Even a yellow, a bright yellow would be good. So many things. So this is the warm Cave 2020. So beautiful, right? So just look at this. Look how fun this would be. Something bright. All right, so this, like I said, is still up on the website as a pre-order because we haven't gotten all of our fabric yet. So once we have all of our fabric, we change it from a pre-order to an in-stock. All right, so one more new bundle, and this one comes in 2 colorways. So this one is a line called what is it? Venice, sorry. And it is a cool and a warm. I grouped them into 2 categories. I just couldn't help myself. I had to get them all. So this is by Robert Kaufman and very kind of a like fine arts graphics. So really a cool vibe to it. So we have these kind of similar prints in a couple different colorways. So the cool version is all of these blues, greens, purples. And just love the hues of this. I mean, even though I call it a cool colorway, they're just so rich because there's such dimensions in this print. Look, it's like a print upon a print. So I just think they're so dimensional and fun. It's like you were stamping and then stamping again. And then we have some of the blues in those same prints. But they just blend so well together, and then into some of the purples. So this is the Venice Cool. How cool, right? And easy to add a pop of red, for example. Add some yellow for a pop, orange. So cool. And then the warm bundle is all the reds and the pinks into the yellow. So we start with the reds with the large scale print. And the designer is Christiane Marquise. This is really cool. I just love her artwork. And this branch fabric I love. And look at this one. It's really fun, colorful, but will blend in nicely. And so these are one of those prints where you can leave them big, but you could also cut them small and they'd be cool either way. Because you can just see bits of color here and there into some of the kind of magenta pinks. And then into the oranges again, and yellow. And so there's only 11 prints in each of those bundles just because I wanted to break them up. And you could totally mix them both. If you wanted a really colorful quilt, you could mix them all up and they all would live happily. look. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And a really nice feel to this fabric. I love it. So these are the new items that we have in the store and ready to go. Lots more coming. And we have lots more news coming too. So, do we have a live winner, Mr. Producer? Oh, Fran Arpin is our live winner. Congratulations. You have won a $25 gift card to the GE Design store online. Congrats. If you see this, send us a quick message either on Facebook or send me an email, and we will make sure to give that digital gift card to you so you can go shopping right away. And then just give me a chance. I'm not going to answer my email tonight, but tomorrow I will. So as for our question, so everybody else now has a second chance to win. Our question, I think actually after I wrote this down, I actually think I've asked this before, but I really do want to know because all of you know that I'm working on my book. I'm getting down to the last few quilts. And so this question I get asked this all the time. And it's so funny when I teach classes because there's always those people that just do the same thing over and over. So, what is your favorite quilt size to make? Because we always have those, and I always have those in class that always make a queen or a king size. Always make a king size quilt. That, or maybe it's a table runner. What's your favorite size? Now, for me, I have to say it's probably a lap size. And as most of you know, most of my lap sizes are kind of bigger, because I feel like it needs to cover me and so I can have my toes inside the quilt. And and it's also a really great size to really show a pattern because I always write multi-size patterns if possible. If it's all possible, I do write multi-size. So the lap size kind of shows the pattern off really nicely without having to make a huge quilt, and they're easier for me to travel with if I do have to take them to classes and stuff. Plus, we use lap sizes all the time. Everybody uses lap size. It's a great one to donate too. Great size to donate. All right, so that is it for us tonight. And so answer the questions just in the comments, and you're automatically entered for our second giveaway, which we will announce a winner next week on our Tipsy Tuesday show. Tuesday, September 22nd at 7 p.m. Central Time. Now, that is going to be a very special day. We might have to have some extra snacks and libations for that night because it's somebody's birthday next week. Mr. Honey Producer's birthday is next week. Are you gonna tell him how old you are? Nope. Nope. Not happening. But so that will be our birthday show next week. And if you're in Gudrun's Quilt Crew on Facebook or watching on YouTube, I'll be live this coming Friday at 3 p.m. Central Time for our Happy Friday show. And we'll, of course, have a cocktail and just counting down for our Fast and Furious. So thanks, everybody, for being with us tonight. I appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed diving into our Scrappy with Focus. And next week, we'll learn more about matchmaking. We're going to keep matchmaking and make you experts. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you next week.